We have Israelis exactly where we want them. We have Israelis exactly where we want them. That's what Hamas's terror leader, the leader of the terrorist group Hamas, Yahya Sinwar, who's on the ground in Gaza, leader in Gaza. That's what he said, according to a recent report. And what's the message that we should get from this comment? We have the Israelis right where we want them. The truth of the matter is, I happen to think that it would be a huge mistake, really detrimental and harmful mistake for Israel or anybody who cares about Israel to underestimate Yahya Sinwar. Um, there were reports a few days ago from Egyptian officials that some of them claimed that Yahya Sinwar was no longer in touch with reality. But I beg to differ for the time being. I think he knows what's going on, and it's very clear. I think it's clear to everybody who knows what's going on the ground that you know Hamas's hold in Gaza and its strongholds have been overrun, and thousands have been killed. 13,000, I think, at least 13,000 Hamas terrorists have been killed so far. Another 10,000 or so have been injured. So that's already like 25,000 fighters who are like decommissioned out of a force that's estimated to be around 30 to 35,000. Hamas's force was estimated, at least as of October 7th. But interestingly enough, Hamas's leadership, Politburo in Qatar, they're they're concerned about all the losses. But Yahya Sinwar is not. He says, "Don't worry, we have them right where we want them, and we're doing fine." So, I think if anybody's just focusing on the numbers, they'd probably find this to be a little bit, a little bit questionable. Where's Sinwar coming from? Why is he so? Why is he so supposedly dismissive of the losses that Hamas has been taken? Well, if we look at the rest of the report, Sinwar is looking much uh, farther and than the numbers themselves. He's looking much greater strategically. So he's focused right now on the terror group's goal to put international pressure on Israel to so that Hamas survives the conflict. And so what he's saying is that, you know, Israel is about to launch an attack against us in Rafah, where hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have fled to escape the war. And uh, the international community is going to be really angry at Israel over it. But look what happened yesterday. Over 100 Palestinians were killed in a stampede in Gaza. The According to the reports, um, the IDF claims to have fired at least 10 of the Palestinians, injuring 10 of them at least, um, due to a stampede that happened as humanitarian aid was being distributed in Gaza City. But violent rioting and looting of the aid erupted in the distribution of the aid. Now, I said to myself, the first thing that came to my mind was, what if Hamas's leadership, Yahya Sinwar, sent in some agents, sent in some people to stir up the crowd and create this whole havoc that erupted? 100 that led to the deaths of 100 people. Now, is it really far fetched to assume that that's a possibility? Obviously, I don't have evidence to prove that this is the case. But that's the first thing that came into my mind, because strategically, if they did that strategically, it would be a brilliant evil. It would be an evil move, but it would be a brilliant move, because as expected from this incident, the international community is really in an uproar about this. And of course, they're going to blame Israel. What happened yesterday, or after the whole incident, Well, the UN Security Council made up a state. They composed a statement to condemn Israel and blame Israel. And 14 of the 15 Security Council members supported the statement put forward by Algeria and all the other and the Arab representative on the Security Council. Um, and so, thanks to the U.S. veto, this did not pass. We don't because understandably we don't have all the facts on the ground. How did this happen? That's a problem. Nonetheless, it's irrelevant because Hamas and everybody knows, everybody who's objective about the situation knows that whatever anything bad that happens on the ground in Gaza, Israel is going to be blamed for it. So if I'm thinking as a Hamas leader, I know that I cannot beat Israel militarily. I cannot beat Israel militarily. So what's my next strategy? The only thing that could save me is if I get the international community to rein Israel in. And this is where Yahya Sinwar, this is his strategy right now. Interestingly enough, the Palestinian Authority has been using this on a more diplomatic, political level by trying to get the the United Nations and other international forums to come in on a so-called protective measures against, to use so-called protective measures against Israel. Hamas is using the same strategy here, at least Yahya Sinwar. And this is really where Yahya Sinwar is coming from. And this is why he says we have the Israelis right where we want them. So I think it's definitely possible. Hamas could have started this. Hamas could have launched this and triggered this. What do you think? Is it really that hard for us to believe? I don't think Hamas really cares. I think anybody who really is objective about this, whether you hate Israel or not, Hamas does not care really about how many Gazans die. They care about their own agenda, which is the destruction of Israel. And so if 100 Palestinians have to die or 100 civilians in Gaza have to die to get the international community to rein in Israel, so be it. Um, so that's my theory. That's my theory without concrete evidence to prove it. But that's my theory. That's the first thing that came into my head. What do you think?